Right, what have we got today? Boosh! It's a light from Wuben, and as you know, I've had a lot of good Wuben stuff in the past, all been really good. Wuben is one of the companies where when I send them stuff, criticism or otherwise, they actually send it to the engineers and come back at me with further questions, which proves to me that they're not just getting that and sticking it in the bin saying, what does he know, shut your face. So got a lot of hope for this one. So this is the Wuben G5. Wuben sent me this. They said, Trailtrek, have a look at this. Be honest. We won't tell you what to say. We won't get to edit the video. We will not say it until you release it. Say whatever you like as long as it is true. That's exactly what I'm doing here. Right. The Wuben G5. You may have seen a lot of posts on this. I certainly have. It keeps popping up my damn timeline every 5 minutes. But G5, I didn't pick one up initially because I thought, do I really need that? But they've sent me one, and actually, yeah, I suppose I really do need one. And I'm probably going to buy a few more. So I'm actually very impressed. It's a small different, it's a different form factor. Instead of every light, small light being cylindrical now, they seem to all these companies seem to think, right, you need a rectangular one now and a flat one. It fits quite nice in the pocket, gives you a little bit more capacity and space for that. And there's a little bit newer features on this. I'll quickly show you the box, otherwise it gets very boring. So there's the back. I've done this in 4K. So you have a look at that. White light, red light, blue, blah, 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 blah. You've got beacons and all that. It does have 1 meter drop rating, and it should say somewhere IP6 here, but I will cover that, and it's about 52 grams. And if you are from the good old USA, that is not 52 grams, it is 1.84 ounces. That's with the battery, because you can't take the battery out. Right, that's enough looking at that. I put it back in the box. I have carried this for 2 weeks now. It's done really good. I quite like the box, actually. Get rid of that. Boosh, not interested in that. This is all cardboard, this bit. So, boom, I've put everything back the best I could. I mean, I've scrunched the packets back up, and I took all that out, and that was the little thing that kept it together. But I'll destroy it in the process here. So there's a little split link in here, and a lanyard, and a cable. Did the split link come out? There it is. Right, Boosh, get rid of all that rubbish. Right, there's a manual which I can't bother to read, and there's the box. Right, there's the item itself. I'll quickly show you what else came with it. That's the cable which I've tested. There was that I obviously took that to post to test it. That works. It's a type A to type C, and it works. Boosh. There's your lanyard. Unfortunately, yes, this feels really nice, and it is branded. So there's Wuben on there. This feels really nice, but it is just a normal slidey cinch and not a one which will stay in place. So if you wiggle that about a bit, look, it opens. So I find those a little bit pointless. It should have a little spring in and a thing that'll stay there. I find that a little bit annoying because a few movements and it's gone. But okay, if you use lanyards, you might like that, and we'll do the strength test. So that's not my strength, it's the strength of this. So if I pull that until it hurts, ouch, right, just to show you that that did hurt. No snapping, nothing's fraying or coming away, so decent quality if you use that sort of thing. And there's your little split link. It's a standard one, because bear in mind, on the bottom right here, you have a hole that goes through between those two Torx screws there, and it comes out here. So you can stick your lanyard through that, and you use your hook and everything. It does have a magnetic base, which I'll cover, because look, I always go out and test in funny areas, and you can see there's a little deposit there. What is that? I'll explain later on when I cover that. Interesting. So this is the Wuben G5, I was going to say V5. Let's get a nice close look at this, and that slide should be there. So you've got the branding there, then you have 3 markings here, you have 3 positions on this slide, and you can see I have carried this and I have genuinely used it, because you can see the marks there denote that I have done that. So there are 3 detents there. So the first one is lock. Nothing will work. Okay, doesn't matter what setting you use. And then the first and second ones allow you to use it. So the first position, you can't charge it yet, but it will allow the light to function. So if you watch, the light now functions. Perfect. Great. And then if you want to slide it to its furthest location, there you can see I have genuinely used this and charged it. So you can see that is Type C charging, and I'll show you that working in a moment. And you have your magnetic base, and then you have a clip. Now it's an interesting clip, so it's reversible. So this head reverses. Now watch, listen for the click. Hear it? So you know when you've reached those points, so you're 90 degrees, click, click, you're straight there. There's other little clicks on here which I like as well, so there. So there's 2 heads on here. Let's get a nice close look and beautiful 4K. There's your main beam on the right, so there's the emitter there. It's kind of standard sort of TIR looking thing, but it's got quite a reflective surface there, which blasts the light out. It is a nice uniform beam. I was very impressed with that, and I'll show you the footage in a moment. And then now in the center there is a segmented LED there. Now that allows you to have various colors. It's full RGB, so you can have any color you want basically, and I will show you that in a moment. But that is smaller, and that is going to output a lot less lumens. I think the top lumen on that is something like 10 lumens, whereas this goes up to 400 on its maximum, but there is a step down, just bear that in mind. Okay, so looking at that, it does have superficial heat sinks on there, you see that? So that helps get rid of some of the heat, but obviously even at this level it will get hot and step down at some point. So I like the design. It has your main button there, and it also has this analog jog wheel. It's not really a jog wheel, I suppose I would call it a ramping interface. So you see how that turns, look? So when the light is on, now bear in mind we are away from the locked position. So if we were to turn that on, click and hold, right? So watch the light level. And I'll go over the light level, you see? Right, that's maximum. And then as we go down, see how it goes down? I like that. So, and did you see the momentary flash? So I'll show you again as I go up. It will momentarily flash. Right there, that was your maximum. So it's letting you know visually that is as high as it goes. Don't keep rotating that. And the same happens when you go down. There, it's saying that is as far down as it go. There is no sublumen mode on this. You can't even click and hold to get that. So it is 2 lumens minimum. But you can just pull back a bit and it doesn't ruin night vision too much. It's okay. It's okay. So we'll do 2 to 400 lumens. Only 52 grams, so pretty good. And you can clip it. So in order to use the clip, there's your standard clip. But let's say you had it that way. You can just pull it out, bang, there you go, clip that in your pocket, and then that is looking down. And if you wanted to, you could also clip that into a cap and then angle it like that. So it would go down. So you can actually use it as a head torch, as long as you've got a cap, obviously. But the options for attachment are like that. Completely reversible look. So see, back to normal position, back out, back to that position. It's an okay clip. It's deep enough just, but it is a small item, so it doesn't have to be too big. Clips into place, bang. So that is spring loaded there. I like that. And then it does have your mag base. Now bear in mind, look, you've got kind of iron filing fallout there. There, it's hard to see, but that's like iron filing fallout. Look, there you see it, it's attracted there. So I go out to areas where there's been industrial works, and if I have this on the floor, it's picking that up. So if you work in a workshop or in that kind of environment, just beware, the magnet will pill that up. But because this is nice and clear, apart from obviously those channels, but you can just stick your fingernail in and clean it out there. Just bear in mind that you might have to clean that off. But other than that, it works nicely. It's certainly powerful enough to keep it upside down or at its side at this weight, so I like it. Comes in IP68, as long as that's down in the locked position, they are claiming IP68. So great, waterproof, you can dunk that in water, not a problem. Only 1 meter drop rating on that, which is a little bit of a shame, but to be fair, it's a small EDC light. It's very light, so it's not going to, you know, plummet down to the floor. But I would have liked to have seen 1.5 to 2 meters. But okay, maybe it's because this is a little bit firmer on the top. Okay, fair enough. I'll take that. But this is, listen, solid aluminum there, apart from the plastic bits. There was like a cracked plastic ice finish or something you can get instead of the green, but it looked gimmicky and I didn't get it. And then there was like an anniversary white version. I didn't get that either, but I went for green on this one. Okay, so let's talk about how this works. Right, UI is, well, you know, I was going to say UI is very simple. It isn't really, because watch. I mean, you know, I review flashlights, so I don't really care. I just go, read it and then memorize it, and I don't have a problem. So you've got all of that, right? You've got your battery charge indicator. So when you plug it in, charging's red, blue, fully charged. And in that regards, if you click and hold when this is off, make sure it's in the unlock position, watch. See that flash there? What's that flash? That's your battery level. And I'll show you that. It's on this page. So for once, I'm going to actually show you the manual. Right. If it's solid for 5 seconds, you have greater than 90% charge. If it is flashing for 5 seconds, so which you just saw it do there, you have, well, you can read it yourself there. It goes down, then it goes to red, and then when it's getting in the danger zone, it is flashing red. Is that okay? What I don't understand is, this is capable of producing green light. Why use blue? Why not just have green for full, and then all the way to red. Anyway, maybe I'm overthinking it, but you do have a battery level indicator, which I think is an added bonus, and I like that. And then you have there's how you operate it, but I'm going to go over that in a moment. And then you have this monstrosity. I mean, for goodness sake, see how simple it is, right? I'll try and make it simple. Get that in the bin, right? Okay, battery check. Click and hold from off. There's your battery check, right? Normal mode. You click it on it when you want to go up. You do that. When you want to go down, you do that. And as you can see, the beam's quite nice and uniform. As soon as I pull that back any appreciable distance, that's lovely. If hiking was nice, it's really, really diffuse. So although it possibly doesn't look it, it's very diffuse and pleasant to use. The tint's okay. It's not too harsh, but it's obviously 6,000 Kelvin value area, and I'll give you the exact figures for that. So, and if you were on a low level and you wanted to go directly to turbo, you can with a double press. There, straight to turbo. There, brilliant. And it does have memory mode, so it remembers where you were. So that's your main mode. When you're in your main mode, click and hold, and it switches. It'll cycle between color mode and normal mode. So that's color mode. Do it again. Back to normal. Back to color mode. In that color mode, you can use I'm using the jog wheel here. Look, so you can go through all these colors. So can you see you've got a green there? Why not use green for the battery check? And then it goes down to red and becomes more red. But anyway, so look, you can go through the whole rainbow there. Look. Perfect. I'm not sure when I would use that, but okay. And bear in mind, that might look UV. It isn't in that wavelength of light. It is just blue. So just to be aware of that there. Or not that I'm aware of anyway, there. Even though it might look it. There, so it's like a full RGB. So I like that. Now, when you're in the color mode, you can double press. Now, remember, in the normal mode, that would give you turbo. It doesn't do this because this is a set 10 lumens. So if you do it, it'll go into what's called a beacon mode in that color. So let's pick a color at random. There, purple, right? Purple haze, Prince, right? If we double press, it's going to use that as a beacon. So you could attach that to your bag or something. So you do that, boom, take that out. Clip it to something, there you go. That is now your beacon, or stand it up, or magnetize it, or whatever. There. If you want to come out of that, you just press the button. If you thought, nah, do you know what? I actually want a different one. Right, so let's change it. I want a, let's have a look. Like a green beacon, again. Perfectly at your liberty to do that, and then back to normal. And then in there, you can go back to normal. Right, when it's off, it has a mode. So if you double press from off in the unlocked position, okay, there you go. It has these strange things. So it's got red and green. It's got 3 of them. So you've got red and green. Then you cycle to the next one, red and yellow. And then the next one is like a cop one. So it's red and blue. The police are coming. Here's the po-po and all of that. So, okay. I don't know when I would use that. If I was, a Halloween party, or I really don't know. Or if I want to get a job as a mall cop, I don't know. But it's there if you want it. And then you can cycle back to the start again or go back to normal. So it's pretty decent. You've got all those features. Whether you need them or not, doesn't matter. What I'm more interested in is the functionality of this. This clip will go that way or that way. This clicks that way or that way. Any angle between those. I think they've really thought about this, and it's nice. They didn't have to add this. They could have just had like a ramping interface. It's quite fun having that. It's quite nice to have something tactile. I'm one of these people where I don't mind cars where there's no buttons these days, but sometimes you think, can I just have a knob that I turn for the AC? Is it too much to ask? So it's nice to have that. You can just adjust it to what you want, bang, get on with it. Right, let's talk about outputs. So going to its lowest, 2 lumens there, so you'll get 65 hours. That's their figures, not mine. And then as you ramp up, you'll get 400 lumens. You get 50 minutes of that, but bear in mind, it will step down. So if it gets too hot, it will step down. So just bear that in mind. So RGB, 10 lumens, 9 hours, and then the beacon mode, which obviously is exactly the same output, but it's on, off, 45 hours. So that is actually quite viable, 45 hours as a beacon. Nice to see. Okay, I did some testing. Now, unfortunately, the tint wasn't like a neutral or a warm. So if you like that, tough, and you don't have an option of that, I came up with a figure of 6,092 Kelvin. So not too harsh like a 6,400, 6,500, but it's towards the whiter end of the scale. And unfortunately, the CRI was only 65%. Bear in mind, genuine sunlight is 100%. It's a nice colour gamut. You're limited. I would say 90s are lovely, and then as you head down they become less pleasant to the eye. Again, I'm a tint snob, it may not affect the general user. Just bear in mind that I would suggest, in my humble opinion, and I don't claim to be an expert or anything, as soon as you dip down below 70% CRI, I personally think it begins looking crap. That's just my opinion, and bear in mind this is under 70, so I'm gonna mark them down for that. If you don't care about that, ignore what I've just said there. Okay, so I realize I'm not an expert, I never claim to be, that's just what I think. So it's below 75. The figure I got, I tested on multiple days, the average was 65%, and in one day it was 64, strangely. I don't know what that was about, but anyway, so it's below 70%, so just bear that in mind. Although using it, I didn't once use it and go, oh, I don't like that. It is functional and it works, so there you go. Okay, let's go over some pros and cons, and I'll show you some of the lights that I tested it with, and then I will just quickly show you that this does charge. So I'm going to put their type A into my charger, and I'll just approve it. And then again, remember to charge it, you just open it like that, and you will see the light indicate it is charging. So if it helps if I turn it on, doesn't it? Right there. Right, so come on, start charging. There you go, right. Okay, so it is charging not very rapidly. It says fast charge, but what does fast charge mean? It's fast enough for this size of cell. It was about average, I would say. So that's red until it's charged up, and then that will change colour, as we know from the manual. And just to show you, it will work. In fact, I'll show you on the road cable, actually. So plug that back in. Right, when that's charging, you can use it. Are you ready? Bang. So it does work whilst charging. Another feature which I like. Let's try it with my own cable on here. Does it work from here? And then I'll show you C to C. Yes, charging again. Does it work with that? Yes, it works with that. Perfect. And I'll use a C to C. So just to prove it, here's the C to C. So in other words, does it allow power delivery? Is it an intelligent design? It is, yes. Right, there you go. Charging, and yes, it works. So it passes all the charging tests. It works whilst charging, which I think is a big thing, especially for an EDC light. It gives you more options. You can plug it in, work on the car for however many hours you want if you've got it plugged in. Not an issue. Okay, so pros and cons, and I'll show you some of the other lights, and then I'll show you a load of footage. I've done loads of side by side. So pros, battery level indicator. It's not how I would have done it, but it's there. Does it really matter what I think? Right. Price was low. It was about 20 bucks when I saw it. So I think for what you're getting, and I love it, I think that's a good price. It's got a physical lockout, no e-lock, physically lock, and it's got a detent there, so you've got click. Right, it will now not function. Brilliant, I like that. It's type C. It's also power delivery. It works whilst charging. It has a smooth, pleasant beam. So I'll show you that. In fact, unlock it, it might help. So I think that's a nice, smooth beam. Look, it's difficult to discern the hotspot unless I use something white or something like that. I think it's really nice. It's a little bit of a shame that the CRI is a bit low. So the beam is nice. It's never going to throw, but that's not what this is for. It's a small EDC light. It's got the physical ramping, which I appreciate. It's dead tactile. I love it. It's got that reversible clip. It'll go that way or it'll go that way. Brilliant. It's got a mag base and the rotating head. It's all been well thought out, and it feels well made. It's typical Wuben, low price, decent stuff. A bit like the Wurkkos at the moment. So what are the cons? It's only 400 lumens, but again, this is a small light. So if you need more than that or a thrower, look elsewhere. It basically has no throw, appreciable. I tried it in fields and all sorts of things like that. I really couldn't get that out of it. It's just, it's a medium range at best, but that's what it's for. In fact, I'm saying it's an EDC light for some reason. They call it an ECL, whatever the hell that is. Right? Comments down below tell me what that means. There's no high CRI option, so if you like that, tough. And 65% CRI, I think that's a little bit low, so I'm going to knock a mark off for that. So I'm going to give this a 8. I would have definitely given this higher. I think it's a nice light. If you're a tint snob, there's a bit of an issue there, or a CRI zealot like me. But other than that, there's not a lot to dislike about it. I tested against similar sort of outputs between 300 and 400 lumens. The Tiny was kind of its only competitor, but look at the size difference. So the cell on that isn't going to last 5 minutes. That's the problem. But that does have a nice diffuse beam look. See that? In fact, you'll see the side by side, but again, look, you're just not going to fit the amount of lithium ion in there that you are in there. So just bear that in mind. But again, that's heavier and bigger. So what do you want? Do you want something really small or a little bit bigger? Tested it with the, I think this is the T1 from X-Star. Again, this has the, you've got the different secondary modes and things like that, green and all sorts of things. Whether you want that, whether you need that or not is another matter. But its main beam there was okay, but it's a lot less output than you're getting from the Wuben. Same with the Nightcore Tiki. This is the glow-in-the-dark version, just to show you that. Let's turn that on. So this is the, it looks transparent, but it's the glow-in-the-dark version, and it is, again, it has secondary lights, but this doesn't need it because they're built into the head. So there, just to show you, there, that is like a glow-in-the-dark. If you need that as a feature, there, it will glow in the dark. And it is a single emitter. It's an older emitter now, but much more simple there, and quite a nice tint on that. I tested it with the K, is this the K2? I always forget. Let's have a good look. Astrolux K2, very nice. Secondary modes with a high CRI, nice warm tint on that. I really like that light for small, but again, battery isn't as big and output isn't as big. If you want something a little bit bigger, it's old now. I realise there's a Tip 2 now, but the amount of output that had was too much higher than this, so I thought it's a bit of an unfair comparison. So I've compared all of these, so I'm going to give this a solid 8. I wish I could give it more, but there's a few things I would change. And, you know, below, I mean, it is a low price. Should I give it an 8.5? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel confident and honest in saying this is a solid, good light. I like it. Well done, Wuben. Keep up the good work. Please keep up the good work and listening to your engineers, because it's the engineers that make the company and make the products that people actually want. So listen to your engineers and keep doing what they want. And I can only see good things for Wuben in the future. Wuben G5, solid 8. Possibly a bit more if you're not so much of a snob. I've done plenty of outdoor footage, so let's go and have a look at that now. Goodbye.